I've been working for a long time with a sculptor named David Caudill, who he does one just lovely curved stainless steel tubes and gardens and stuff. And some of them move and some of them don't. But with private clients, there's a limit to the number who can pay you enough to earn a living. So for years now, he's been exploring public commissions. He's done a big installation on the front of the music school and in the music school auditorium and stuff, and big ones in Bolivia and places. That's him. He has discovered that Kentucky now has a mandate. It's called 1% for art, where all big state-funded construction projects need to dedicate 1% of the budget to art. This back here is the Fayette County Detention Center that was having a big renovation project. This horse barn, it looks like, is actually the front of the detention center, and behind it there's this big, jail. But here in the space between Old Georgetown Pike and the jail is where a sculpture is going to be installed. The site's been chosen, and there are a couple of people in a competition, and my job was to help him get the job. Let me go to File, Open. I'll show you what we're going to end up with. Well, see, these are sort of the parts of it. Some of the parts. There's a structural part. There's this thing on top. There's a nest. This was AI generated. In fact, we'll take a look at that. The upshot is this. This is put together out of a bunch of layers of images. Let me just sort of turn them off and we can bring them back on again. And the flowers are up here. This was, if you remember, there's that original photograph. That's sort of where I started with and cropped it to here, made the grass greener and added some at the top. And there wasn't, this is a mistake, but it gets covered up. There wasn't enough sky, so I added some sky and a gradient to keep it going darker and darker as we go up. And then this I modeled in Revit, the I-beams and stuff, and down here. These turned out to be kind of tricky shapes to do. I had used 3 different programs, AutoCAD to model them as flat pieces, a program called Inventor to bend them, and then brought them into Revit and put the colors on them. If we go in there, we can see that they've got bolts on them and stuff like that that hold them together. And then, that little piece comes back in. And then everything needs a shadow. So I started putting shadows in where I thought they might go. That's the shadow for the person. There's the guy. This is something that I couldn't figure out how to model anything like that in a CAD program, and I couldn't draw it. So I just got onto one of the AIs and said, nest seen from below made out of multicolored stainless steel tubes, and played with that prompt a little bit until I got this, and then I sort of cropped it around to make it look like it was sitting there. Oh, the idea of this whole thing is hope. The beams represent the strong arms that support you as you incubate new skills and a new outlook, something like that. Anyway, and then I use down here, there will be a bunch of flowers. Where are they? There we go. A couple of layers of flowers in a big planting bed. And you can see I put shadows and stuff in for that. So that's all built up out of images from multiple different sources. These guys, various flowers, had been specified by the landscape architect, so I knew what they were. So I went and got clumps of them off the internet and cloned them together and changed the colors a little bit. Originally, these are all almost the same color, but that looked cartoonish, so we just sort of toned them down in Photoshop. This is the kind of image that came out of AI. It's the first time I've used anything like that for something I just couldn't model, but that's pretty interesting stuff. So I really just needed to get that and sort of being able to look at it from somewhat below. Anyway, my guess is that in your Photoshop documents, and I do want the Photoshop files that you work on, not the JPEGs. I want to see the process of getting there, sort of what all you brought into it. You'll probably have, I don't know, 5 or 6 layers. I mean, the original, the image outside, the person, the shadow, a piece of furniture, something like that. And any other retouchings you want to do, if there's other stuff you want to do on those images, go ahead. There's also a nighttime view of this. Anyway, so doesn't that inspire you? If you were visiting your boyfriend in jail, wouldn't this be inspiring to drive past that? Okay, we're done with this. No.